How we doing today? Everybody doing all right?
Welcome to Tampa.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Pleasure's all mine.
I asked Todd Bowles at the end of the season if I had told him that the outside linebackers would not lead this team in sacks, that it would be your nose tackle, if he would be surprised. He said, yeah, I'd be shocked. And that really bothered him so much that he got a couple of outside linebackers in the draft here. Where does that sack production have to come from your unit? What has to happen for that position to really take off and get after the quarterback?
Well, I think the biggest goal every year is number one, schematically of what we're asking them to do, and the number of opportunities we get to rush, and just making the most of those opportunities. I know everybody likes to just count the sacks, but also quarterback hits, pressure on the quarterback. All of those things are ways to affect the quarterback also that can, help us with the turnovers and those kind of things. So our emphasis and focus and concentrating are ways to make those things better, for the guys that we have and for the new guys coming in. Like you said, we ended up drafting 2 new players at the position, and they're both unique in their own way, and excited about getting them in here. But you also have, some players that are here that have been effective in putting pressure on the quarterback. Although the sack numbers last year doesn't show it, but you can look at the effect of how they affect the quarterbacks and throwing the ball down the field.
Did that affect Joe Tryon-Shoyinka? The last 2 years he's had 4 sacks each of those seasons. I know they kind of wanted to see those numbers go up. What do you see on his tape when you watch him?
Well, you see a guy that can have, skill set wise, can do a lot of different jobs. And, between dropping, rushing, playing behind the ball, he has a unique skill set. And I think the more that he grows and the more he's been comfortable within this system, you can see he's not thinking as much, at least for right now, in the phase that we're in right now as far as the training part of it. And so now I think you'll see a lot more of his athleticism, kind of taking off, where he's not thinking as much and going to play. But Joe I've really been impressed with him. Now, you got to understand, I've only been with the guys probably about 7 days, but just the habits and work habits that he's exhibiting right now, I'd foresee him feeling pretty comfortable. Terminology and all that's the same. We're doing some tweaks to some things schematically, but I think he really does a nice job of paying attention to the details of those things. And same way with Nelly, he's done a great job thus far, in the realm of that. So.
Can you just talk about the guys that they drafted, Yaya and Jose, and specifically what they do to fit in not only the scheme and system, but what you're looking for as a player to coach at that position?
Yeah, I think the unique thing, and I think Todd does an excellent job with it, along with Casey and Fudd, is, you take a guy's skill set and you find ways to get the most out of his skill set. Both of the young men that we drafted at the position, number one, they're very athletic, they can move, they're fast. You've talked about all those things thus far, but having a vision for them coming within to our system schematically, moving them to different spots, being able to do different things. I think that'll be a big plus to add more pressure players, to us schematically defensively.
Individually, what do you like most about those 2 players?
Yaya, Yaya is a very heavy-handed, versus the run. He exhibited that throughout his college career. He does a good job of getting a rusher, the flexibility to play inside, outside. Those kind of things are the thing that intrigues us about, him. Ramirez, at the end of the day, he had sack production, this past year with the number of sacks that he ended up having. So getting him in, same thing. He's going to be able to drop. He's going to be able to rush. So that skill set will be intriguing to us, to be able to use schematically to help us get pressure on the quarterback.
Yaya, he had such a big jump from 2021 sack production to 2022. How can you ensure that he is able to kind of continue that and doesn't have a few steps back when he's going to the next level?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't guarantee you anything. The one thing I can do is guarantee his makeup, as far as, he pays attention to detail. He works hard to improve, and you can just look at his body of work and see how much he's improved over his career. So we look for him to come to this and do the exact same thing. The more experience that he gets, the more comfortable he feels systematically in the learning process as we get to training camp. We'll just look for that to increase, to keep getting better as he goes along in his career.
Shaq Barrett missed half the season, but the Bucs sack total was impressive. It was I think they had 48 sacks. It was among the leaders. Talk a little bit about how Bowles disguises coverages. He causes confusion. And he's able to generate pass rushes every year, no matter what the personnel is.
And that's exactly right. I mean, the whole thing is how you're going to affect the quarterback. Whether you're doing it by disguising coverages, bringing different guys off the edges, asking ends to drop. I mean, those are the things that make it hard for offenses to have success. So if you can to be able to line up in this league and just line up in a static look and be able to execute is tough. But when you've got guys moving around in different positions doing different things, I mean, it causes some problems for the offense as far as recognition. It's not like the way they drew it up when they came into the game. So now all of a sudden they're getting unscouted looks, and the next thing you know, that helps us from our aspect of trying to get them
Is
off the
that
field.
sort of Bowles' forte as a defensive coordinator?
I would say so. I think when you look at us schematically, he's done an excellent job throughout his career of using different guys' skill set and moving around and disguising things to have you formulate a plan that when the ball turns over, you're thinking one thing, and now all of a sudden, post-snap, you're getting something else. So anytime you can do that, I think it gives you more time to get pressure on the quarterback at the end of the day.
Does it almost feel like a prerequisite for either an edge rusher or a D lineman that you have to be versatile and be able to line up anywhere? Because, I mean, we've seen defensive fronts where Vita Vea lines up at linebacker and Levante David comes off the edge.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing right now, kids are getting exposed to a lot more different, job titles coming out of college now because the college game is different. And I think that's not uncommon for them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they've done them before. So when you ask a guy that, traditionally comes in and really hasn't done those things, but you look at him athletically, you see a skill set, and you're asking him to do things like that, it causes problems, for guys to be able to recognize that and identify it.
Coach, how do you get, like Joe Tryon, had a lot of reps last year as a starter, but still 4 sacks. He's in position to make plays, but it's that finishing the play, right? Finishing the sack. You were around one of the greatest finishers in Micah Parsons, who's a freak and unusual. But how do you get a guy to go from, I know what I'm doing, I'm in position, but I'm just not getting down the road?
I think that comes with the confidence. I think it comes with his decision-making to go finish, and that's the one thing we're going to harp on is finishing, because he does a lot of jobs, and he does a good job of, what you ask him to do. But just like with any player, I think the more comfortable you are in the job descriptions that you're given from, year to year, I think you'll play faster. I think you won't think as much, and I think you'll go finish strong. But like I said, I've been very impressed with him thus far, and I'm excited to continue through the offseason as we get going through the season.
How much can it help your guys on the edge when you have a guy like, we know what Vita Vea brings, but a guy like Kalijah Cansey, where he is very quick off the ball, he's undersized, but he's able to get into the backfield. How much can that affect your guys?
Oh, I think it helps. I think it helps tremendously. Everybody always looks at edge rush, as far as when you talk about number of sacks, but the penetration of a quarterback not being able to step up into the pocket, or you get isolated on a guard inside, and all of a sudden you're getting the penetration and making flush one side or the other. All those things are key ingredients, to us being able to have success as pass rush. So I think when you look at the skill set of the guys that we were able to add this year, along with the guys that we have, I think it'll be a melting pot of just, a mixture of their skill sets and what we ask them to do to be able to get pressure on a quarterback.
You talked about Joe a bit, but when studying Anthony Nelson and Shaq Barrett, what do you see individually about them that excites you for the coaching style you're going to bring in the scheme in general?
I think that they're both true pros at the end of the day when you look at it. I've known them from afar, just from being in the league for as long as I have, and I've been very impressed with the time that I've been able to spend with them thus far. They're both professionals. They're on top of the details of what you're asking them to do, and when you watch them on tape, they play the play style that we're looking for coming out of the room, and that's the one thing I think they do is they set a standard and an expectation for the room and for what we're trying to get accomplished.
You've been part of a lot of different coaching staffs and had a lot of success throughout the NFL. Just what made joining Todd Bowles' staff so appealing for you?
Well, I'll tell you, I've known Todd for a lot of years. We've coached on a couple of different staffs in the past. Casey and I have coached together on a couple of. Tim Atkins was a guy that, so the familiarity with us as people was already there. And schematically, we've both been 3-4, 4-3. So the culmination of those things. And when you start looking at just the way that he's had success of identifying skill sets and then being able to take those and put the players in the right position. That's what this is all about at the end of the day. So I'm excited about the opportunity to be able to contribute any ways I can, but the biggest thing is to get our position group to be accountable and be able to have hopefully success at what we're asking them to do.
His praises are often sang for what he's done as a defensive coordinator, but what sets him apart as a head coach?
Well, I think you start with Todd. When you talk about Todd, you talk about him as a man. You talk about him as a father. You talk about him as a husband. You talk about him as a brother, as a son. Those are the things I think that really detail not only his coaching ability, but how close he is to the players and how he's gained the respect of those because of the trust of what he puts into it, what we do, detailing it from day to day. So that was an easy decision for me. I've always had a lot of respect for Todd. The times we've worked together, the times we haven't. So I'm excited about the opportunity and pleased to be here.
Last couple of years, you've
Last
had to put
question.
together game plans to deal with Trisha Wirfs, who might be making a switch over to the left side. What have you seen out of him? Obviously, opening the season twice in a row and then in the playoffs. What have you seen out of him that makes him such an animal? And how effective do you think he can be making that switch over to the left side?
Well, again, I think it's a work in progress, and I think you just got to take it day to day as you evaluate. Everybody, I mean, whether it's in life or in football, everybody likes to be comfortable. But then you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. So going through that process, it's just a process at the end of the day. Nobody thinks that they're going to all of a sudden change professions or change positions and it's going to be a natural fit for it. It'll be some things that you got to go through, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at it and you'll get comfortable with being uncomfortable at the end of the day. So it'll be a good, I'm sure, as he works through the offseason, it'll be good. I mean, you could tell the potential that he had as he played, like you said, coaching against him the last couple of years. And I would foresee that not changing his play style as he goes. It's just a matter of now you're doing it on the opposite side.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right? Thanks. Thank you.